Welcome in. Welcome in. We're back. Another year of the NFL. I'm your host, Ben Hosser. I'm joined by our boy, Matt Domsick is here. We're going to just a little early look at week one since the salaries came out. Matt had a kind of a prophetic call there, didn't you? I mean, you literally three
Yeah,
weeks ago said
I'm a total
that
sicko, dude.
you literally forecasted the exact day that the NFL week one salaries would come out.
Yeah, it's like a holiday for me, man. Like every year, there's nothing more exciting than like taking that first peek. And then when I found out that I was right on the 28th, I'm like, oh man, like no, I got to get like a little snack. I get some coffee. I got to get ready. Like, dude, I was so jacked. It was awesome. So it was a
Yeah.
good day.
Yeah, I'm excited. I was on vacation when those came out, so I didn't really look
Yeah.
at them until Sunday. But I'm ready to talk about it. So basically, what this is, we're just gonna run through first look, our first reactions to the Week One DraftKings salaries. If you guys are curious where you can find our content during the regular season, dfskarma.com. You can also get access to our core plays. All sports are now one price. There's only one membership. So last year, you would have to buy an NFL membership or an MLB membership separate, whatever. You sign up, you get access to all sports for one price, and you can sign up this week. Actually, we're recording this on the night of August 1st. We have the Hall of Fame game coming up on Thursday. And I'll have cores and player pools and Discord for all the preseason slates coming up. So be sure to check out that over at dfskarma.com. Let's start out, Matt. I guess quarterbacks. Um, Overall, before we get into quarterbacks, how are you planning to attack this season? I know you and I play similarly. I would say
hmm
similar types of contests. I like to play like higher entry, smaller field tournaments, and then cash games. Obviously, I think you are pretty similar to me in that regard.
Yeah.
So, is that how you're planning to attack this season as well?
You know what, man? Like, so last couple of years, and it's been successful, but I was pretty much like 80% GPP, 20% cash, maybe 70-30, in some weeks. I kind of treated cash as just like kind of the savior in week where I get, totally washed out in GPPs. At least I could have a chance at some cash, helping me a little bit. But I used to be more of a 50-50 player. I just have a gut feeling of wanting to just increase my cash exposure this year. And not even necessarily like, um, same bankroll and then switch it from like 80-20 to like a 60-40, but maybe just add more money, increase my bankroll, each week, just more to cash. So I don't know, it's kind of a gut feeling. Who knows if it'll stay that way? If I crush a GBP early on, who knows? But I think probably I do want to increase my cash a little bit. I had a lot of success in the head-to-head scene last year. I was looking over some of the data as far as what worked, what didn't work last year, contest selection, going through some analysis sites like that. And head to head was just crushed. So I probably should dedicate some money to that.
Yeah, 100%. We've talked about that. I feel like last year, maybe the year before as well. So, totally agree on that
Yeah.
front. All right, let's start out here. So, I guess pulling up the salaries here over on DraftKings. Top few guys, we have Lamar at 8K, Jalen Hurts at 7,800, Justin Fields 7,700. Joe Burrow at 71, assuming he will be able to play by the time
hmm
we get to the game. And then Justin Herbert, 69, Tua, 67, Trevor Lawrence at 65. So I don't know. What's your early reaction here? I think, Lamar, I don't have access to our projections yet, but I think Lamar, will obviously probably come in as the top projected option here against Houston. I'm pretty excited about the Ravens offense this year and the Ravens team in general. You also have Jalen Hurts there. Tough matchup on paper against New England, like perceived tough defense, but they still have a really big team total. And I mean, I know I love Jalen Hurts. I think you agree, but
Yeah.
I've heard some rumblings, Matt. Jalen Hurts apparently as of August 1st, he has yet to throw an interception at Eagles training camp.
Yeah, I mean, who knows how much he's really letting fly, but they just got pads on what yesterday, I think, for the most part across the league. So yeah, we got to remember Jalen Hurts is like one of the best goal line running backs in the entire NFL. So he's got both things going for him, no question. And really, a lot of people will do the narrative, oh, Bill Belichick, all these weeks to prepare for week one. You know, Tua, it busted him up 20-7 last year in week one on that new look Miami Dolphins team, So I'm not terribly afraid of the production that we could find from the Eagles week one. As
Yeah,
far as the rest, yeah, as far as the rest, I mean, like you said, Lamar, at least up top, these guys up top. I mean, Lamar, dude, this Todd Monken, offense in Baltimore is going to be what Lamar needs. I mean, they've been just begging to be able to let the ball fly a little bit. He's actually got a really good deep ball. A lot of the analysis on his accuracy and whatnot, he throws a really good deep ball. They have a lot of talent on that team now, especially with the new rookies. They Flowers stretching the field. OBJ is looking really good in camp. We'll see if Bateman can come back. They, of course, got Mark Andrews, a trusty Mark Andrews across the middle. So it's a really decent looking, offense. And I think, with Lamar, with, of course, dual threat, he got paid, he got his money. I mean, I think it's really, really exciting. Is Houston going to fight back much? Probably not. I think Houston probably is better than what they've been the last couple of years. But, kind of who cares? Because even if they don't fight back, Baltimore in a win, especially John Harbaugh, I mean, they're not afraid to put up huge, huge points. So I definitely like Lamar a bit more than Hurts up top. Where do you think the ownership's going to go once you get to like that Fields to Herbert range? Those three guys, Fields, Burrow, and Herbert. Do you think probably Herbert based on the team total and the game total and all that?
yeah, obviously that's definitely like one of the sexiest games. 50.5 over under right now. Um, Chargers are 2.5 point favorites at home. Definitely. Um, I don't know. I feel like I feel like last season, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like I don't know. Did people really like to play Herbert? By the time we got to the end of the year, I think people were kind of
Yeah,
like just
not
tired of it.
really,
But
no. Yeah, not really. Almost half of his games, he threw 0 or 1 touchdown passes.
yeah,
A little bit more than half his games. Yeah, so, I mean, but again, a lot of people are kind of buying in on a bit of a new look offense there this year. So, I guess we'll see. You would think home favorite, biggest total of the week, and I'm a Justin Herbert guy. The problem with Justin Herbert, and this is going to come up a lot in the podcast, is that of course you're not playing him naked, you're stacking him. And when you choose someone to stack, the touchdown equity is spread so thin in that Chargers lineup. It could easily go to Mike Williams or Keenan Allen. The touchdowns could go to Eckler, as we know, as he scores a million touchdowns. It could be to Gerald Everett or even Parham. They have a couple rookie wideouts. I mean, it's just spread so thin, and I'm not afraid to pick someone. But when you're picking someone who costs a fair amount of salary, it's kind of like, well, boy, you better get it right. If it's a cheapie, you don't care if they don't get the production per se. But like, I know Mike Williams is not expensive, but I don't know. I just kind of and I don't love it as much as some others that we'll talk about. Certainly like Lamar more. I might even like Burrow more than Herbert come week one.
yeah. I think that Browns Bengals game could be really interesting. I think we're going to talk about it here in a minute with Deshaun Watson, but 47.5 over under. Cleveland, short 1.5 point dogs at home. I think that game could definitely have some appeal. Tua, I think I would rather play Tua than Herbert because kind of
Hmm,
like you were talking about, you at least know where the ball's going, and it's typically going to
true.
be Tyreek and Waddle, so you don't really
Yep.
need to
Great point.
debate it much. So, and I
Yeah.
think if Tua stays healthy, he could win MVP. I mean, people remember what he was doing last year prior to his concussion stuff. So,
Yeah.
I think I'd rather play Tua than Herbert. Lamar, I don't know. I like Lamar, but if Hurts is going to be way lower owned, I'll definitely have some interest there.
Okay.
Moving on down, uh, Kirk Cousins, Geno Smith, Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson. This kind of tier here before we get into some of the young guys. I do like, I do have some interest in Watson, 6K. I think if you're gonna play him, week one is a great. Like if you're high on the Browns offense or you think he's gonna bounce back, week one is the perfect time to play him because people are still so down on him based off of what we saw
Mhm.
from him last year. But he had gone so long in between his games in terms of playing. It was really bad weather. People underrate how bad the weather he played in was, Matt. I mean, I remember like one of the games, it was like one of the worst wind games of the last like 15 years.
Yeah.
He played in some super bad weather. It was a super bad situation to come back into. So, uh, presumably with the whole off season, he could play a little better. And then I'm really high on Seattle this year.
Me too.
So I like Geno at 61. I think is a really interesting play
The
here.
thing is, yeah. So I'm big on that game, the Seattle and Rams. I shouldn't say big, but I do like that game, Seattle and Rams. But man, Watson, he does it with his legs too, dude. I mean, he averaged 30 yards on the ground last year over 6 games. It's almost a passing touchdown right there.
Yeah.
He's not afraid to scramble it in for a touchdown. Gino, he'll have some splash games where he'll get 30, 40 yards, but there's a ton of games where he's just got next to nothing on the ground. So I do like that added element. There is no more Kareem Hunt. Of course, yes, Chubb is there. But again, this offense is looking to pass a lot more than it has in the past. I mean, they were a huge, huge, huge running team in years past. But I think this year, all the talk out of camp is they're opening it up quite a bit. Honestly, I mean, dude, Deshaun Watson, he's looking like maybe my favorite play right now. Does that mean it'll be my favorite play in 3-4 weeks? I don't know. But I think right now I like that. I mean, teams have to pass against Cincy, right? Assuming Burrow's healthy, they're the biggest team total home dog, short odds, as well. There, I think it's a 2-point spread, so nice and tight. He's got a lot of improved weapons. I love, and he can do it with his legs. I mean, I love the spot for Watson.
Yeah, I agree. And AC, I'm sure you'll be listening to this at some point, so I'm sure he'll be like in his car. He might like just drive off the road, like he's
No,
excited.
dude, he's in my
We'll
main
just
lineup right now. I'll
yeah.
just say that.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that their offense is going to be really good. And like I said, I want to take advantage of that early while people are scared of
Yeah,
it.
no question.
Finishing off here, I mean, we're kind of getting down to the young guys. Anthony Richardson for the Colts. Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Brock Purdy at 5,400 was very, very good in terms of his fantasy output last year. Assuming he's fully healthy and ready to go, 5,400 is interesting. It's not a great game, but
Hmm.
he was good. I mean, he is
Yeah,
definitely the guy. He can throw 3-4 touchdowns in a game.
yeah.
And then I don't know. There's some other guys down here. Kenny Pickett, Jordan Love, Sam Howell's 4,900. He's going to start for Washington, and they're up against one of the worst teams in football, Arizona. So,
Mhm.
do you like any of these cheap guys upon your first look?
I don't. I just don't feel the need to go down there and just on a pure raw projection standpoint. I mean, I have them all significantly lower than like the Russell Wilson and up crew. So being them significantly lower, raw points projection, and I don't feel the need to spend down with how loose these salaries are. I right now I'm not even. I mean, look, if I see a few more Anthony Richardson highlights, I might just get excited enough to click it and say, let's see what happens and buy in at 5,600. But I think probably for now I stick at Russell Wilson or higher.
Yeah, I agree with that. Richardson would probably be the one that I would get interested in, like I said,
Hmm.
or like you said. We'll see what happens during the preseason, but I do think the Colts. We'll see what happens with Jonathan Taylor, but I kind of thought they could surprise some people in terms of that division. But
Hmm.
I mean, they're going to need Jonathan Taylor. I feel like
I
to
wouldn't mind
win.
Derek Carr. I should say that.
Hmm.
In the Superdome against the biggest pass funnel in the entire NFL last year. Really horrific passing defense, really stout run defense. Michael Thomas is looking really good in camp. Of course, you got Olave there, Kamara out of the backfield. I could see myself clicking a Derek Carr, nothing like a main lineup, but even if I was playing 5 or 6 lineups, assuming that my confidence stays strong, on someone like Mike Thomas and Olave, I wouldn't mind at all a Derek Carr lineup.
Yeah, I am kind of bullish on the Saints, honestly, this year too. I
Mhm.
think they're going to win that division. So you could totally talk me into to that. There's some good weapons there. Sam Howell, I'll bring up. I guarantee you, he's going to pop in projections at 4,900 against Arizona.
Yeah.
I think Sam Howell is the best quarterback that came out of last year's draft class,
Okay.
personally. Um, but I don't know. Week one is not really the slate where I feel like you need a cheap quarterback because we're gonna have value by the time we get
Yeah.
to the
Definitely.
slates. So unlikely.
Yep.
All right, moving on. Running back, Christian McCaffrey at the top, 8,700. Austin Eckler, Nick Chubb, Bijan Robinson at 8K. Jonathan Taylor's at 7,900, but unsure if he's going to be
Yeah.
playing right now.
Yep.
So we'll see on that. Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, another guy. Josh Jacobs, not sure if he will be playing. We'll see. We just don't have that news at the moment. And
Mhm.
then Ramondre Stevenson rounds is out at 7K. What's your thoughts on the top of
Yeah.
running back here?
mean, as we know, running backs don't matter, right? So it's
Yeah.
like, why pay up for them? But I say that, but I mean, it's kind of true. I mean, you can poke holes in everyone. CMC is like pretty much in a 60-40 split. With a healthy Elijah Mitchell, I don't see them running him into the ground in week one. Eckler, if he doesn't get a million targets, he's getting what, 8 to 10 carries a game. I mean, you can just poke holes in everyone. Of the guys up top, I'm most excited about Nick Chubb. Certainly, it'd be in lineups in which I'm not playing Deshaun Watson and a pass catcher or two. I would like to use Nick Chubb in those lineups. Again, I'm bullish on the game, bullish on that offense and that offensive line. I think probably he gets a lot more pass looks this year with no Kareem Hunt. A lot of this talk out of camp is that Chubb is finally getting a little bit more looks in the passing game. So largely staying away from that. And that's what made GPP so bad last year, is that everyone had to play the chalk 6K running back every week, whoever it was, and then they crushed. And there was, you're kind of 1v1 and, for all the money. So I think probably I'll look to Chubb up there up top. Beyond that, I'm going to be looking at all the really good options a lot lower down.
Yeah, I don't love any of these guys, to be quite honest with you. Really, I mean, Stevenson even, I don't love moving down farther. We have Travis Etienne, Joe Mixon, Alvin Kamara, another guy. Not sure if he will be playing. We'll see if a suspension comes for him. J.K. Dobbins, we'll see if he's healthy. Assuming he will be by the time we get to week one. Alexander Masson taking over for Dalvin Cook as the Vikings starter at 6,500. James Conner, Aaron Jones, Cam Akers, Najee Harris, Kenny Walker round us out for the
Yeah.
6K tier. Do you like anyone in the 6 to 7K tier?
Yeah, I like Cam Akers. I think he's, especially with Sony Michelle retiring earlier
Yep.
or late last week. Um, I think that he's going to get all the looks. He showed a lot of juice at the end of last year. He's a highly touted, highly drafted running back. I think he certainly could be okay. Their offensive line is brutal. They're on the road as dogs, but I think that's totally fine. Um, and then, I'm really big on Kenneth Walker. Of course, I got the Michigan State shirt on, so it's like,
Mhm.
kind of hard to hide the bias there with Walker. But I mean, talk about having the juice. I mean, this guy was just electric last year. It was one of those things where, like, you just knew if he got enough carries, he'd break one off. He's going up against the Rams. The Rams are a disaster of a defense. They're a rebuilding team. They have players that have really no business being starters on an NFL defense, all up and down the defense. He's at home. Seattle's got a much, much improved offensive line. I got him as a top 10, I believe, line, just outside the top 10. So yeah, I'm really high in Kenneth Walker. Of course, yes, he's hurt right now. He's got a groin. He's kind of a week to week situation right now. I think by the time week one rolls around, he's going to be okay. He's back up. The young guy, I can't remember his name. I think he was a rookie. He's out indefinitely. He's hurt badly. So he's pretty much the only game in town there for Seattle. Love, assuming he's healthy, love Kenneth Walker. He would be a main lineup type of play for me.
Yeah, I love both running backs in that game. We were talking about it, and I'm glad you brought up how bad the presumed Rams defense is going to be, because that's another reason why I do have some interest in Geno.
Yeah.
Friend of AC's boy from Cleveland. He's at CleveTA on Twitter. He had a great tweet like a month ago. I remember I bookmarked it, but of all the Rams players on defense, there's 42 listed. Only Aaron Donald was drafted in the top 2 rounds of the NFL draft. Like they just
Oof.
have they
Boy, oh
just
boy.
have nobody, man. That's gonna be
Yeah, they
bad.
were trading people away last year. They lost people to free. I mean, it's tough right now. It's a tough look, man. They're going
Yeah.
to be trailing a lot of games.
Yeah, I agree. All right, moving down, we kind of have Damian Pierce, Javante Williams, if he's healthy, might have some interest at 5,700. Miles Sanders moving over to Carolina's at 5,600. Rashad White, Donta Foreman, and then we're kind of getting into the backup tier down here. Outside of guys that might be getting bumped up, presumed for like injury, or like guys sitting out, which we don't have that information yet. Do you like anyone in this tier, like mid to 5K?
Yeah, I don't think it's the right game script for Damian Pierce. I would say I'm relatively high on him again this year, but I don't like him going on the road to Baltimore. Javante is all going to come down to health. I mean, he's beating all expectations by getting out there as early as he has, destroying his knee last year. They said he tore his ACL, PCL, and LCL. I mean, the thing just got completely exploded. But he seems to be on track. If he's looking like legit healthy, yeah, no question. I'd love to have some exposure to a really, really talented running back at all the forced missed tackles and broken tackles metrics, and again, an offense that's you know should be looking better after getting out of the Hackett disaster that they had last year at head coach. So I'd be looking to Javante Miles. You know, I don't know. He finally put up some production last year, but it was behind the number one offensive line, the number one offense in general. Carolina's not that, right? Carolina's, like a rookie quarterback, a lot of kind of it's a new system. I think maybe he'd be okay. It's a decent environment, but tempering expectations there. Rashad White should be the bell cow, 3 down back for Tampa. I think he's a talented kid. On the road in Minnesota, it's okay. I could see myself spreading in some Rashad White. I don't get really interested until you get all the way down to Brian Robinson, actually, at 5.1. Very interested in Brian Robinson for week 1. All the reports are saying he looks way, way better. Obviously, it's like, well, yeah, he didn't literally just get shot,
Yeah.
in the leg. So he said, like, it's night and day. He feels way more explosive. All the reports out of camp are that he's they're throwing him, wheel routes, and he's getting some looks at the passing game, way more explosive. And they get maybe the worst team in the NFL coming across the country in the Cardinals. Just a disaster of a team as well. And Washington looks really, really strong on the offensive line. I think they should control that game. And, they got Sam Howell, who you're high on, but do they really want to beat Arizona by having Sam Howell drop back 40 times? No. I think they're going to want to put the ball in Brian Robinson's belly, 20 times plus. So I'm really, really high on him. 5,100, I think, is crazy for this situation.
Yeah, I agree. He's too cheap. Definitely interested in him. I actually feel like I played him a couple times late last season too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I do. I'm definitely interested in 51. We'll see on Miles Sanders. I don't know. There's these rumblings from Panthers camp that they're just gonna use it. Like he's gonna be a 3 down back.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. It's the Panthers, but yeah.
Yeah, Atlanta. I don't know if we'll be targeting Atlanta much this year because if they're gonna run the ball as much as I think they're going to, like it's just not gonna be great.
Yeah, true.
Game environments.
Yeah.
But it could be good game script because I don't know how good Desmond Ritter's going to be. So
Right.
I don't know. I'm shocked. The Falcons the Falcons win total is 8.5 and it's juiced on the over. Like I don't understand who is betting the Falcons to win 9 games.
It's just the Bijan Robinson effect, man. I mean,
I
have you
guess.
seen? I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen this type of excitement on running back in Saquon. Really?
Yeah, but why? I just wait. It's gonna be the first quarter of the first game, and that guy's not. He's not even gonna be on the. Arthur Smith is gonna have somebody else like Tyler Algier will be running him down the field.
Cordero Patterson
like,
or Algier.
Like where is my?
Yeah, dude, for sure.
It's gonna be tilting. And agree, Rashad White, I'll probably be interested in. I'm fine fading Minnesota like defensively this year. I don't think they're gonna be very good. So matchup is probably pretty fine.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to receiver. I mean, we have the studs up top here: Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, Devontae Adams, AJ Brown, Keenan Allen's at 73, Devonta Smith 72, and then Jalen Waddle and DK Metcalf round us out for 7K. What's your thoughts on the top of receiver? I guess it kind of depends on like what QBs you're playing, or is there anyone that you specifically want to spend up for?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited about Justin Jefferson week 1. Generational type talent, playing at home indoors where he scores 84% of his touchdowns are indoors, and so in a good matchup too. I mean, Tampa should be decent against the run this year. They got some holes in the secondary, and Minnesota just lost Dalvin Cook. Madison limped off the field today. Adam Thielen's gone. The little bit of depth at tight end. Irv Smith is gone. I think that's just going to be, Justin Jefferson show. That's what, people are filling the stands to see. That's what their offense is. Like you said, not really high in Minnesota defense. I think they could be finding themselves throwing a fair amount. I think they're just going to whip the ball around. So I think he's the safest bet with the highest upside, I'd say. Yeah, I think he has the highest upside as well for week 1. So I think, he probably has some positive touchdown regression coming his way this year. I mean, for for 135 catches last year and to have, 9 touchdowns, this is no one's surprised if this guy turns out a 14, 15 touchdown season. Cooper Kupp massively high end for week 1. The whole year, I don't know. But this is a nice environment game. Seattle does not have a good. I mean, they have some young talent in the secondary, but they're definitely you can expose them in the secondary. Rams should be passing the whole game. We talked about the Rams being an absolute disaster on defense. Cup's the only game in town. I mean, Allen Robinson's gone, OBJ's gone. I think that it's just going to be thrown into Cup all game. They're going to be down. It's going to be a back and forth game. Seattle played at really, really high paces last year. They want to play even faster this year, from what they're saying. I think that Cup is Cup is the safest floor. He'll undoubtedly have the highest props for catches, for yards, for everything week one. I love him. Tyreek, you got the Tyreek and Waddle thing, right? It can oscillate, between the two of them depending on the week. Love Tyreek Hill. I think I want to find Tyreek in spots where there's a really weak defensive line where they have an offensive line advantage, so he can have more time for his deep routes to develop. That offense just works better with less pressure, of course. So I'm not playing Hill. I'm just gonna not play him. I'm not gonna play Devontae Adams. New quarterback situation. Chase. I'll be playing Chase. Certainly, if I'm going to be playing some Watson lineups, I think Chase on the run back is huge. Again, that's where you have a little bit more of there's Chase and T Higgins, right? Where you don't have that problem with Jefferson and with Cup, but certainly, having some exposure to Chase is massive. Then the last one there, instead of what you mentioned, you got AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, again, kind of like, well, depending on the week, you never know. Keenan Allen, I'm not paying 7,300 for Keenan Allen when there's so much touchdown equity spread out between Eckler and Mike Williams and everyone else. So I'm pretty much looking at Jefferson, Cup, and some Chase.
Yeah, pretty much agree. For the most part, Cooper Cup is going to smash week one. I completely agree with
Yeah,
you. Love that. Love getting some. Even if you don't want to play Geno, just getting Cup and a Seattle. Whether it be
dude,
Kenneth
Cup
Walker.
and Kenneth Walker. Yeah,
Yeah,
Cup and
yeah,
Walker.
something like that, or you can get one of the receivers. Whatever you want to do, I think that's super good. Also important to remember, Justin Jefferson's playing in a contract year, so I mean, if you thought what he did last year was big, I mean, he's just gonna go absolutely
Yeah,
crazy this year.
yeah,
Like, I don't know. 8,800 feels too cheap, I think,
yeah,
for Justin Jefferson, to be quite
yeah.
honest with you. Moving on down here, I mean, DeAndre Hopkins now on Tennessee, T. Higgins in that game that we like, Tyler Lockett, Jerry Judy at 6,600, Calvin Ridley at 6,500. A pair of guys that are, pretty trendy picks for season long drafts there at 65 and 66. Chris Olave at 65 as well. Terry McLaurin, Mike Evans, Michael Pittman, DJ Moore on a new team, and then Christian Watson. Love Jerry Judy in this spot personally.
Mhm.
I think Jerry Judy is going to go off this year. Literally getting the biggest coaching upgrade of all time, like literally the worst
Yeah,
coach ever to someone
yeah,
that's won a Super Bowl and is actually like decently sharp offensively. Just
yeah,
we can't understate that. They've already lost two I think Hamler will be back, but obviously Tim Patrick's not going to be there. So
yeah.
they did draft Marvin Mims, but Jerry Judy, we've known since he was at Alabama, he's just one of the best route runners in the league. Over the last 6 weeks last season, he averaged over 18 fantasy points per game over the last 6 weeks. I think I mean, he's gonna go off, and I think it's probably a pretty good matchup there for week one. So Jerry Judy definitely sticks out to me in this tier at 6,600.
Yeah, definitely, man. I love Judy. There's a lot of wide receiver twos here in this mix that, you know, I mean, you're never going to be like massively confident in playing Tyler Lockett or T Higgins because what if it's DK? What if it's Chase? You have these same type of problems. Even with Olave, well, maybe it's Mike Thomas. I'd say with Judy, he's the closest thing to a real wide receiver one in this
Hmm.
range. You could say Calvin Ridley, but I think the connection that T Law has with Christian Kirk is so strong. Um, I'm high on Ridley like everyone else. This is this year, and I think probably 6,500 it is too cheap. So I think if I do have some Trevor Lawrence lineups, maybe doubling it with Ridley and Christian Kirk might make some sense. I'm high on Judy week one as well. I definitely will be playing him. Other than that, like I'm not playing guys like Mike Evans, Mike Pittman. When you get down to the bottom of the 6K range, I get excited about DJ Moore. So DJ
Okay.
Moore has just looked absolutely electric in training camp. Him and Justin Fields have just an awesome connection already. He had multiple red zone touchdowns today in camp, long touchdowns, slants that he takes to the house. He has not had a good quarterback for a very long time. Not saying like Justin Fields is like a classical great pocket quarterback, but Justin Fields is a baller, man. We didn't even talk about him really at
I was gonna
all.
say we didn't really talk about him at
No,
quarterback. What's your thoughts there?
no. I think yeah,
I think he's
dude,
gonna
you have to play
run
him.
a lot.
Yeah,
People are like, "Oh, he's not gonna run as much this year."
of course he
No,
will. It's
he is
muscle
going
memory.
to run a ton.
Yeah, he is, dude. So like, even if I was, I'll tell you what, if I was playing three lineups, I would force myself to play a Fields and DJ Moore lineup. I really would. I just think that they both have so much unique upside. We've seen DJ Moore go off with a bunch of just absolute, disasters at quarterback over the years. He's, finally getting a competent quarterback who can make plays. And I don't know, man, the stuff that they're doing, getting creative downfield after Fields kind of breaks out of the pocket already is like scary stuff. I think no question there should be some Fields and DJ Moore lineups week one.
I think there could be some sneaky shootout in that game. Also, I'm
Yeah.
actually high. I think the Packers are going to be good. People are down on them
Yeah.
post Rodgers,
Better than what people think. Yeah. I
like
agree.
the Packers have made the Packers made the playoffs. Aaron Rodgers, his last few years there, he wasn't very good. He was ranking like mid
Mm.
20s in terms of his production. Like I'm pretty sure Jordan Love, like you're asking him to be like the seventh or eighth worst quarterback in football. I think he can accomplish that.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. No question.
All right, moving down in this upper 5K tier, we have Chris Godwin, Amari Cooper, Mike Williams, Christian Kirk. Debo Samuel at 55 feels a little cheap to me. I think I'm going to be interested in Debo at 55. Rashad Bateman, Deontay Johnson, Marquise Brown, Cortland Sutton, Jordan Addison, rookie for Minnesota. I don't know. Debo instantly stuck out to me when I first looked at it. I'm going to be interested in him. Mike Williams, there's been some hype around him playing more in the slot this year with them drafting Quentin Johnson. So we'll see what happens
Mhm.
with that. But like you said, there's just so much going on there. It's tough, really, I don't know. We'll see what
You
happens.
can do it for Mike Williams because he's only 5,700,
Yeah, and you can
right?
one off him because if he catches one
Correct.
long one, like you're golden.
Exactly. And now, if you look at like Waddle and Tyreek, it's like, dude, 7,100 and 8,200.
Yeah,
That's a little bit more of a high stakes decision. For 5,700, a baller like Mike Williams, you're not punching the air if he goes, 7 for 80, and
yeah.
that's it. I mean, that's great. That's fine. And you're right. He's getting a lot more slot looks, maybe some more higher percentage stuff. Yeah, we'll see. Who else do you like in that range? Who are your favorites? So you said Debo, Mike Williams,
Yeah,
maybe
Debo, Mike Williams. I guess Deontay. I don't know. I mean, if the volume is there like it has been, the guy didn't. Did he? He didn't score. What did he score? One touchdown last year. Zero touchdowns. I don't think he
zero.
scored a touchdown.
He said
Yeah.
zero touchdowns on 86
So
catches, dude.
I mean, that could be just our golden stamp right here. Like he's gonna score a touchdown in week one. Like the guy literally didn't score one last year. There's no way that continues for much longer.
Yeah, Pickett could certainly develop a bit this year, without question. So, yeah, like I said, I'm fairly high in Christian Kirk. I think they have a special connection. Tennis or yeah, Indianapolis is just a really rough pass defense. They give up the highest completion percentage in the league last year. Very, very heavy zone defense looks. Kirk it carves up zone D. That's where Trevor Lawrence is going to be looking against all the heavy zone looks. Ridley is kind of more of an outside man-to-man beater. I
Mhm.
think certainly Kirk could have a really, really good week one, even with all the hype around Calvin Ridley. No one is going to be surprised if it's Kirk who goes. He had so many incredible games last year. I
Yeah,
mean, just several multi-touchdown
they
games. I
gave
mean,
him a massive deal too.
yeah, dude, he had 99 catches, 1,200 yards, 10 touchdowns. It's like, and I think Trevor Lawrence will be better this year. And now he has the, a little bit of pressure taken
Yeah,
off him with Ridley being there. I think Christian Kirk, man, is just like a awesome best ball and fantasy target. But I think, week one, it's a nice time to jump on him. Mike Williams, I'll be playing some Mike Williams. Cooper, I'll be mixing in some Cooper with my Watson lineups. He will not be my main target. With Watson, we'll get to my main target later. Debo, I like, but we'll get to my main Sam Fran guy in a bit here. But the rest of that range, you know, I'm basically looking at some Cooper, some Mike Williams, some Christian Kirk, and then all the way down at Mike Thomas, assuming that Michael Thomas continues to look good with New Orleans. Talk about incentivize. I mean, this is his contract year. This is a do or die situation for Michael Thomas, man.
hmm
He knows that if he wants to he's only going to get one more contract at his age, and this is it for him. And if he doesn't do much this year, the guy could literally be out of the league next year. I mean, that's kind of the trajectory he's been on. So if he can ball out, he can get one more big contract in a good situation now with Derek Carr there instead of a quarterback carousel that it's been. I think that again against the number one pass funnel in the league, I think that Mike Thomas week one could be really. I mean, 5,100. We know this is a while ago, but this guy was like touching 10K a couple years ago
yeah.
because it was so easy to just click his name and get 12 catches, and I mean it was something special. So I think 5,100 take a stand. You know.
I don't hate it. You could definitely sell me on that. Dropping into the 4K tier, there's some sexy names here. Brandon Ayuk, Jahan Dotson, guys that we like to play. Jackson Smith and Najigba. I think I'm way
Oh
higher
yeah.
on him than you. I don't know if you do you
No, I
like him?
like him. Oh
Okay.
no, dude. Yeah, JSN looks unreal
Yeah,
in
I
camp.
think anytime you have a guy that played alongside Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson and like he had more receiving yards than them by a wide margin. I mean, the guy, I don't know.
Yeah.
He's going to be a beast.
I know it sounds weird. I like Geno stacks with Jackson Smith and Jigba
I completely agree. I'm glad you're on
because
that side.
he's free, right? He's 4,900.
Yeah, and you
You're
get Cup in there.
Yeah, and you're not angry when your quarterback Geno throws a touchdown to DK. I mean, you need the production, and you got to just hope some of the production drops down to Smith and Jigba, and he
Yep.
and if he's just pedestrian, well, okay, he didn't strike out. He was free. So yeah,
Yeah, there's some more down below. We have Jacoby Myers, Juju Smith-Schuster, Nico Collins, Zay Jones, Hunter Renfro, Quentin Johnston, 4,400. What's your thoughts on the 4K tier?
oh
I
man,
really that upper 4K tier is nice.
Brandon Ayuk, dude, he's going to be my prediction a number one wide receiver this year. He'll be a top 12 wide receiver in PPR.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure you've seen a lot of the stuff out of camp, right? I mean,
Hmm.
it's like out of this world stuff. All the talk from Shanahan was like the guy's obsessed with football. Like he would text me and call me all off season about this, about that, about the playbook. He came to camp like way ahead of everyone else. Debo is saying it. All the cornerbacks are saying it. Like he's like unguardable. He's a different man, and he's still kind of on the come up. I mean, last year he had the most catches, yards, and touchdowns. But he can go way, way more than that this year. I think he's going to have competent quarterback play in Brock Purdy. Certainly, he should be in a good situation. I think, and I just 4,900. I mean, I think I'd also be willing to bet that's by far the cheapest he'll be all year. I mean, that's just silly.
Yeah.
I think that. I mean, we saw him have multiple 2 touchdown games last year, and again they're rotating quarterbacks all over the place. I think he had 3 or 4 quarterbacks last year during the
Yep.
season. So I just think that again, there's a lot of touchdown equity to be spread out between CMC and Kittle and him and Debo, but Brent Ayuk, man, in a good situation for 4,900, I'm massively in on that.
Yeah. Definitely interested. Moving on down, we'll just finish out here with this low 4K and then the 3K tier. I mean, I think Elijah Moore is definitely you and I's biggest
Yeah,
target here. I'm really excited about him. 3,800 is a stupid price. I do think he'll be popular by the time we get to week one, just
yeah,
because of his price tag. But it's just too cheap. So I definitely think you should be interested in him. We'll see. I think like I don't know, in larger field stuff, you could take stabs at these kind of bad teams. Like who's going to be the top wide receiver on Houston, right? Like they're going to have to throw the
no,
ball.
Mechie maybe
So Mechie or
Collins.
they have some other yeah, Nico Collins. They have some other rookies in there too. And then like Carolina, they have Terrace Marshall Jr. It sounds like Bryce Young has pretty good chemistry with
Yeah,
the other rookie Mingo. So I mean he's only 3,200. I'm not going to play those guys in cash or anything, but if you're playing like 150 lineups, like you could take some stabs on those guys. But Elijah Moore is going to dominate the ownership at 3,800. I think
yeah.
for
Dude,
sure.
he was getting straight up handoffs today in
Yeah,
practice. Not even
they're
jet
gonna
sweeps,
move
like
him around.
handoffs.
I mean, people forget there was legit hype around him coming out of college,
Yeah,
and
he's
then
the next
he
Antonio
just
Brown, they're saying.
yeah, he just went to the Jets and had to deal with Zach Wilson. So I
Yeah.
mean,
I mean, we've all seen like the tweets showing like he was wide open so many times. I mean, yeah, Elijah Moore. I mean, I just love this idea of taking the quarterback out with the free receiver
yep,
who might be the number 1 or 2 or 3 look. I love Watson and Moore lineups. I just love that. I like doing a Lamar Jackson and Zay Flowers line. If Zay Flowers is 4K, there's a
yep,
ton of chemistry all camp. I mean, Zay got multiple red zone touchdowns in camp today, multiple deep touchdowns throughout camp.
yeah,
Him and Lamar were working together before even camp started. I mean, running a Lamar and Zay Flowers lineup. I mean, dude, you go in top tier quarterback, then a 4K receiver that again, that's not a high stakes situation. If he doesn't do much, that's okay. You know, so I like Zay Flowers. I like Elijah Moore, and we'd be remiss not to mention our boy friend of the podcast, Mac Hollins.
Matt
I mean,
Collins.
dude, Mac
The guy
Hollins.
looks like Matt Collins looks like he ate Matt
Yeah,
Collins.
exactly,
I
dude.
don't know what that guy's huge now. I don't know what that guy's off-season program was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we get a few games out of him before he gets shut down for PEDs. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't hate clicking that button. But yeah, other than that, I mean, a lot of these are just kind of gambles. Yeah, Alec Pierce looks like interesting. Yeah, I could see Richardson kind of floating out of the pocket and just chucking it deep to Pierce. He's a good,
Mhm.
body control, deep ball, high point type of guy. I could play. I tell you what, again, if I played Richardson, I'm going to stack him with Pierce. I'm not going to pay up for Pittman or whatever. So, other than that, a lot of nobodies down there. I'm probably not wasting my time.
Yeah, I will say I like Bateman coming out of college, but Zay Flowers has infinitely more juice than Rashad Bateman.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
definitely interested in him. And then again, Bateman, he's not on the field right now,
No.
so like he's still a young receiver. So Zay Flowers being on the field and being able to develop that chemistry does go a long way. I
Yeah,
feel like.
that's a good point.
All right, moving on to tight end. We don't have to spend a lot of time here.
Mhm.
Mark Andrews, 6,200. TJ Hawk at 5,900. Kittle, 57. Dallas Goddard at 5K. That's the only guys above 5K at tight end, considering Travis Kelsey is not on the main slate. And then you have like a 4K tier with some decent names. David Njoku, I think, would be interesting maybe for some Watson lineups at
Mhm.
4,200. Evan Ingram had a huge season, last year for the Jags. He got paid, and then typically a zone defense there in Indy, so that can be
Yeah.
helpful for him. I don't know. There's some other guys you could mix in: Fryermuth, Gerald Everett. What's your thoughts on tight end? I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're spending up, it's going to be tournaments, I guess. Mark
Yeah.
Andrews or Hawkinson was really good last year, and you're not going to play him with Jefferson, but if you're not playing Jefferson, I wouldn't hate maybe getting some.
Yeah, top guys, you play them as a part of a stack.
Yep.
Goddard, whatever. You include them in a stack. But in general, main lineup, cash, main GPPs, I like to spend down at tight end.
Yep.
The production just isn't there, in long term. So why pay for something that usually is not going to be there?
Yep.
I'm basically zeroing in on like three, maybe four guys. So Njoku, right? And then my kind of main three are Dulcich for sure. He's
Yeah.
electric. Tim Patrick going down. It's a good situation there. He looks awesome. Chicken Conquo. He's got the tight end room to himself now. I think yeah, D Hop's there, but I'm definitely high in Chig. Chig led all tight ends last year in the yards per route run.
Yep.
Just a kind of an athletic free. He looks like a big receiver out there. So
Hmm.
Dulcich, Chig, and then I'm going all the way down some lineups all the way down at 2,900 to Luke Musgrave. Big 6'6" guy, nice outlet for a young, starting quarterback in Love. I think that he's going to look to Luke Musgrave's way a lot. If I'm going to do a Fields and DJ Moore lineup, that's where I'll play some Luke Musgrave. I think he's basically free. I know it's a rookie tight end, even in his first game, but he's just going to be a nice, reliable outlet for Love, and he looks to be getting all the tight end snaps. So
Yeah, love it. I think you could throw Irv Smith in there if we're playing Watson stuff, maybe.
yeah,
You know, or maybe just a one-off or something at
you
3,600. But
mean Burrow stuff? If playing,
yeah,
like
yeah, or like on the
okay,
other side or something. I
gotcha,
don't know. You could get
gotcha.
weird, or
Yeah,
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 you could do a Burrow double. Don't hate
right.
that at all. So
Yeah, no, I don't
yeah,
mind Irv. How much is he? Is he like 3?
36,
Okay,
36.
yeah, yeah, that's nice. I like
Yeah,
that too. That ain't
yeah,
bad.
I think you throw him, but
Cool.
we don't need to talk about defense. So overall, I think that does it. Just a little preview for week one. Obviously, we'll be back this season with regularly scheduled content. We'll have a podcast every week. I'll have articles up. We'll be in the Discord. I'm doing a daily live stream now for betting, so that'll be over for
Nice.
Bet Karma. And I'll have some more betting content as well now since it's legal in Ohio. Matt, any last words?
No, let's work hard, man. Let's watch training camp notes and let's work hard.
Yep, I'm excited to grind out the preseason. So thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to like the video if you made it this far, and we'll be back when we get closer to week one.